This is Pod Populi, podcast for the people.
All right, everybody, welcome into episode 4. I'm so excited to chat a little bit today about the holiday season, but first, I wanted to chat a little bit about this past weekend. It was my birthday weekend last weekend, and I feel like I used to love my birthday, and it was like a big thing. But lately, it's not as important. And, I just love to have the opportunity to grow and age and get older, but I don't love the whole to-do of a birthday party, and maybe that comes with age. What I am so appreciative of is my friends and family reaching out, and I get the opportunity to reconnect with friends, even from high school, who are reaching out. I got a call from one of my very best friends from when we went to high school together, and it was just so meaningful and so touching. So it's like this very beginning of the holiday season always kind of starts off with my birthday. And it was really nice because the kids made me like super cute gifts. And I always say it's the effort that matters. My family like decorated the house. We always decorate the house for, everyone's birthday. And so it was really nice. Funny story that I have is my son Marky was so proud of himself. He came up to me and he was like, "Mommy, guess what? I spent 11 minutes making your gift." And I was like, 11 minutes? I'm like, I spend hours and hours and hours doing like everything for you guys, and you are so proud of this 11 minutes. I think he was like a little bit sad that I was like, only 11 minutes, but it ended up being a bracelet that he made for me on his 3D printer that was so cute. So I really loved it, and Mia made me this, cute, adorable box with like memories that you could just see all of our memories kind of coming out of the box. I thought it was really gorgeous. So I'm so grateful. But this year, for me, I feel like I am manifesting this year of self-care because it started off with just the most luxurious head spa experience last week. I had never been to a head spa before, and I just finished saying to a girlfriend of mine, "Oh my God, something I really want to try is this head spa. We have this incredible rain shower." And out of the blue, I had someone reach out and want to do a little bit of a collaboration. And I'm so excited. We're going to have her on, so stay tuned for that. But it was just the most amazing experience. And just to see the before and after of my scalp really helped me understand the importance of exactly how to take care of a scalp and how to properly wash your hair, and the importance of the scalp for hair growth, which is something that I'm really passionate about. So that was really lovely. And then my husband surprised me with a day at the Standard Spa. So it was like spa after spa. And then on the day of my birthday, I actually booked a detox lymphatic drainage massage. So I feel like manifesting this self-care journey for this year is definitely in my cards. And that's what we're going to keeping on about this year. So last year I had this like big bash for my 40th, and it was filled with stress and like the planning, the invites, the attendance, the food, the seating, the day before, the day after events. There were highs and lows, and I feel like disappointments and happy moments, and I had to find a dress and do the hair and do the makeup, and it all sounds amazing, but leading up to it, it was so high stress that I was just like, I'm not ready for another party for at least another decade. So I'll wait till I'm 50. But at 41, I am so happy that it was all about self-care and all about moments with me and the people who were closest to me. Last year was one of the most phenomenal, memorable weekends, but I think, for the few years going forward, I think I'm definitely going to be just keeping it really small and celebrating in little tiny ways. So for me, I love celebrating birthdays, and I think people just think I want a huge celebration because I love celebrating everybody else. I'm definitely, when it comes to love languages, I'm a gift giver. I love to give gifts, but my number one is really words of affirmation. So it's super interesting to see people when I give them a gift and their eyes light up and they're so excited. And so that's what I love to do. But on the reverse, I actually, just want to keep it quiet and keep it tight, which it absolutely was, but it was really, really beautiful. So really, really good way to start off the holiday season. And, the season is upon us when we're giving gifts and the festivities start to happen. And as we approach the holiday season, all these invites have already started to pile in. I don't know about you, but, from Thanksgivings to Friendsgivings and holiday parties and New Year's Eve and cookie exchanges and wine and cheese events, it just starts to rain events. And so many of these festivities all center around food. So what I really wanted to do today is share some of my personal hints and tips to help us get through the holiday season and eating out during the holiday season too. So in preparation for this episode, I started doing some research about holiday weight gain. And I was actually surprised to find that there's a study in 2017 that was done by the Journal of Obesity. And it talked about how in just 30 days, basically the holiday season, every year, people gain anywhere from 2 to 5 pounds. Can you imagine if the weight keeps going up and you don't lose it every holiday season? Over 5 years, you could gain 10 to 25 pounds just like that. And that is a lot of unwanted weight. And so one of the most frequent conversations that I've been having lately is how to avoid those holiday pounds. So naturally, I guess, let's talk about all things food. So one of my first tips that I like to do personally, I call it menu stalking. I don't know if you guys like to do it, but years ago, menus were not available online. It was really hard to understand or to learn where, you were going, what there was to eat, what's a healthy option on the menu. But now it's like all the menus are online. I like to search the website versus, Open Table and see what they might have. I love having that reference because first, it tells me if the restaurant is a go or a no-go. And then second, I can really scope out the food, the good, the bad, the fried, the creamy, the salty. I know that sounds like a soap opera title, like The Bold and the Beautiful, the creamy and the salty, but it really does help because understanding what you can eat and feel great about and still have it taste delicious is a great thing to do during the holiday season. So I know that I'm still going to select something I'll enjoy, but I'll just feel really good once I get out of that dinner party. So I'm someone who loves to go out on the weekends. I love dinner plans. I love restaurant openings. I'm so fortunate to live in Miami where there's so many beautiful, amazing restaurants, but I also really like to continuously eat healthy. I don't like to break the bank when it comes to going out to eat. So I'm always very, very careful, and menu stalking always helps me with that. So I also like to set expectations. So if someone is inviting me to a celebration or a party and I don't love the menu, I like to set my own expectation. Like, is this a party where I'm going to be indulging? Is this a party where it's just going to be a light meal and, a drinks kind of night? Does this restaurant have something for me? Should I have a snack beforehand? So doing a little bit of menu stalking and really setting expectations for yourself is really, really important. So of course, like when I go somewhere that is known for a spectacular dessert, sometimes I indulge and enjoy, and it's really totally fine. There's no guilt and it's a celebration. So YOLO, you only live once. But at the end of the day, it's that expectation and knowing what I'm going into that really, really helps me when I go to any event. So as you guys know, I'm obviously pretty strict on nutritious eating. And what's really good is that I think you can go to any restaurant and find something that is nutritious, but at the same time, super delicious. But if you want to just indulge for the pure pleasure principle of it all, just make sure that that's not happening every single event this holiday season, because you don't want that 2 to 5 pounds to just sneak up on you. And, January 1st comes up and you step on that scale, or you kind of fit a little tight in your clothes and you're not so happy. So at the end of the day, it's really all about what you want to get out of this holiday season and how you approach it. So, quick story. So, for anyone who knows me, I feel like I am the self-proclaimed modification queen at any restaurant. So I am someone who's, always polite about it, but I do ask for many modifications, and it could probably annoy people that we go out with, even though they don't let on, but I hope it doesn't. So last week, my family took me out to a beautiful new restaurant in Miami's Design District. So I'm not going to name names, but it rhymes with Schmother Schmulf. And the restaurant is an established restaurant in LA. It just came here and it's super fancy. And I'm not going to lie, it was a little bit snooty when it came to the menu and to modifications. So we walked in, and the second we walked in, I knew it was going to be an issue because my husband, who's so sweet, came to the restaurant with a birthday cake for me that I love with like fresh fruit on top. So again, like a little bit healthy, keeping that in mind. And the hostess was just like super abrupt, like, we don't take outside food. And I was taken aback and I was like, uh-oh, modification queen is not going to necessarily have an easy night tonight. But that's okay. So we ended up sitting down. The servers were amazing. The manager was amazing. So it was a really, really lovely dinner. But at the end of the day, there was this moment where I asked for dressing on the side, and our server, froze up, and she was like, we don't make modifications. We don't do dressing on the side. And I was really taken aback. And she said something like, the chef thinks that all the wonderful, luxurious flavors of the dressing will really enhance the flavor of the salad. And it was just all this exuberant language. And I was just like, please just put dressing on the side for the birthday girl, please. They ended up doing it. And what was interesting is when they brought the dressing on the side, it was like 3 different oils that they had combined together. There was very, very little flavor. And for me, the fresh taste of, the salad was lots better without it being oil laden. And at the end of the day, 5-10 tablespoons of olive oil is not something that I necessarily needed in my life. And I knew that it was kind of going to break the calorie bank. So I was grateful that they ended up doing the salad without dressing. And it's so interesting to me because I feel like that should be the norm versus the exception. I always want to ensure that there's something healthy wherever I go, but it's really hard when you get a lot of those eye rolls or those annoying glances from the servers when you do ask for modifications. I feel like in this day and age, I actually hate it when restaurants say that the chef requires no modifications because of, the balance of the flavors. I kind of feel like, screw that, man. Like, this day and age is full of like lactose-free, gluten-free, sugar-free, keto, allergy-full consumers. So I feel like, not offensively to the chefs, but I feel like they need to get over themselves and, help people out, help a girl out. So at the end of the day, at least I did get the dressing on the side. But all that to say is some modifications are always necessary. And it's really important to kind of share what it is that you need with the staff and the people at the restaurant to ensure that you have the meal that you're looking forward to as you set your expectations. So definitely, check out the menu is my number one hint. See if there's something that's a healthy option that'll satisfy your taste buds too, of course. And then the second thing that I always think about is the sauces and the dressings on the side. They are helpful because you can manage how many added calories or fat you're putting into your meal. You can manage how much flavor you want to add to your meal. So it is just a great option at the end of the day. And when I think about olive oil, I know it is so heart healthy and I love it, but to a point, 1 single tablespoon has 14 grams of fat. So there's no protein, there's no carbohydrates. So while it's good to have, a little bit of healthy fat, if a restaurant has a heavy hand, you could be adding, literally hundreds of calories potentially for no reason. So just always, if you are watching, what you eat during the holiday season, please do ask for dressings and stuff on the side. And for me, I often like to just drizzle a little bit of balsamic vinegar. It has very little calories, only 2.7 carbs, and the carbs are coming from natural sugars. So it's actually a little bit of a better option versus mountains and mountains of potentially any olive oil or seed oil or anything like that. So the other thing that I like to do, and I feel like this was a thing that people did a while ago, but not necessarily talked about so much now, is either split a main course and appetizers or simply ask to have half packed away for you so that you could take it as a takeout bag even before it comes to the table. So you know that you're eating only half of a portion. And I think this is particularly important in America. I've actually noticed quite a difference when it comes to portion size, even versus Canada. I think we all know that, in Europe and other parts of the world, portion sizes are much smaller. But in the United States, portions are really, really large. So even if you pack up half, you're still going to have ample food to satisfy your taste buds and make you feel full without necessarily overindulging. It's so funny because whenever we go out for dinner, my husband's favorite dad joke that I can't stand is when the server comes up to us and asks if we have any allergies, and he'll say, "Oh, I'm allergic to small portions." And for me, I'm like, a small portion is just fine. We don't need massive portions. Just relax. I actually kick him under the table, and he almost said it when we were out for my birthday this weekend, but he kind of took a look at me and he was like, "Damn." So he didn't say it, and I was so proud of him that he didn't. So in terms of menus, I know that sometimes menus can be hard to decipher, particularly when there are items like spaghetti squash or cauliflower on the menu that sound really, really amazing and really healthy too. But at the end of the day, there are certain buzzwords that are clear tells that the item is less than healthy. So if you want to hear some of those buzzwords, stay tuned. I'm just going to take a break from one of our sponsors. Are you lost about a breakup? Separated? Wondering if you're with the right person? Constantly breaking up and getting back together? Then you need a love clairvoyant. Yes, psychic Susan Weston has been offering psychic readings for nearly 3 decades. She's a master psychic, a love expert focusing on relationships, marriages, soulmates, twin flames, and toxic dating patterns. She has a true, authentic, intuitive gift passed down through generations. She not only reads love connections with amazing accuracy, she helps reunite, heal, and bond lovers and partners by removing the barriers to happiness and long-lasting love. She can also deal with issues relating to family, business, finance, children, and more. So call now for a free mini reading with Susan Weston, Westin, at 480-318-2106, or visit psychicsusanweston.com. Mention promo code podcast so she knows we sent you. So getting back to these buzzwords, obviously something like crispy or creamy or crunchy, that's definitely something that I avoid on the menu because I know it will likely be fried, probably not the best option, but some great words for you to look out for are something that is spiced or something that is baked or broiled. For me, I love having a Cajun spiced rub or something like that. It's something I don't necessarily often cook at home, but it's something that I enjoy out, so it's really, really great. But then some of these words that we see, like glazed halibut or, glazed salmon, miso glazed cod, any of these recipes, orange chicken, for example, I actually didn't know this until I started researching into this episode, but some of those glazed recipes can be as high in sugar as a glazed donut. Like, isn't that wild that you think you're, eating this really healthy, beautiful meal, a glazed salmon or halibut, doing some really good protein intake, and then you realize that just because it's glazed, it has so much added sugar that you could be eating a donut. That's absolutely insane to me. So just watch for those buzzwords and try and make your calls based on whatever it is that you're looking for in that meal. So I'm not necessarily, dictating you have to eat healthy all the time, but it's often about going in with eyes wide open, truly understanding what it is that you're going to be eating and how it's going to make you feel after. So I often recommend, getting vegetables as a side instead of a carb to ensure that you have this luxurious, amazing protein when you're eating out, particularly for the holidays, but you don't kind of break the bank when it comes to carbs. But again, watch out for those added oils or, having the veggies fried. Instead, have them sauteed or steamed. I know, Brussels sprouts and crispy Brussels sprouts are huge on so many menus, and so many people think, wow, I'm eating Brussels sprouts as my side. This is amazing. But at the end of the day, they are fried. So just a little bit of a watch out. The other thing that I have seen disappearing, which is a very interesting trend, is the bread basket. So bread baskets are something that, nowadays I'm seeing people ask, do you want the bread basket? Which is a great question, but most often people will say yes. I think it's really challenging because when people are hungry, they're going out, they're looking forward to the meal. Bread is so delicious and luxurious. So my family often says yes. And I'm always like, no, don't break the bank with the bread. Get the main course, get the main event, rather than just kind of nushing on bread and then getting full from that. So I actually try and say no to the bread basket. But whenever we go to a restaurant called Bourbon in Aventura, Florida, they actually give you 3 different kinds of fries on the table. And my family really, really, really loves it. So Marky doesn't really eat fries and I don't either. So recently we were there and I don't know where this came from, but I was just super hungry. And before even the fries got to the table, I asked the amazing server, who was so kind and sweet. His name was David. I asked him to give us some sliced veggies instead. And Mia looked at me and she was like, I want to kill you. I want my fries. But I was just so happy because what came out with this was this like glorious plate of crudité, and it was like all these different colored carrots and veggies and cucumbers and celery. And it was like my heaven, but clearly my daughter was not impressed. So maybe next time we will have a mix of fries and veggies just to kind of satisfy everybody's taste buds. But it was a really, really nice moment. And so something I always talk about and something we actively practice in my family is having veggies before any meal. If you don't know anything about kind of glucose spikes, or if you haven't really done much research about it, having those glucose spikes when we eat in a particular order is very, very common. However, if you eat your veggies first or have a little bit of a vegetable appetizer, the fiber in the vegetables actually curbs the glucose spike. So I started to follow the glucose goddess probably 3 years ago when Marky was diagnosed. And even though he doesn't have a working pancreas and obviously he injects insulin, something that really, really does work, particularly before dinner, is having his veggies first. So that really does decrease that glucose spike. So it's something that I love to do whenever I send a lunch for school. I always send veggies and he knows to eat the veggies first. So try it out and see how you feel. Instead of feeling this kind of sugar high, sugar crash from any of the carbohydrates you might eat, or really, really sluggish if you're eating, high fat, high protein foods. If you eat your veggies first, you're actually going to feel like you have so much more energy. It's really, really interesting. I often talk about the time where I actually wore a CGM, a continuous glucose monitor, on my arm for several weeks. I just wanted to see, firstly, what my son experiences as he goes through life with a CGM on him all the time, 24/7. But I also started to learn so much about my own body and how my body reacts to different foods. One of my favorite things to do was to go out for a Starbucks refresher and just have a very refreshing, lovely beverage. When I started to have them while I was wearing the CGM, I would see my sugar spike to like 140, 150, 160, which is not necessarily normal for a non-diabetic. And I almost now have an aversion to the Starbucks drink simply because it really did make my glucose spike. And I found that subconsciously, I would start to crave sugar right after I had that drink. And that's because it was just that start of that, sugar high, then crash, then I need my sugar again, kind of like the addiction. So just, try and really understand the balance of the foods that you eat and perhaps start with a veggie starter. So as we go out now, I talk a little bit more about, wanting to ensure to listen to your body, potentially having a little bit of water with lemon or something beforehand, because sometimes we confuse hunger with hydration and thirst. So sometimes we're more thirsty than we are hungry. So it's always good to just, fill the tummy a little bit, have your water before a meal, stay hydrated, and then enjoy your meal thereafter. And then, one of the things that I talk to many clients and patients about is that if you're going out for a more indulgent meal, you really don't need anything other than your hand to kind of focus on portion sizes. So when I talk to my clients or whenever I'm working with someone and we talk about macronutrients, we talk about the number of portions that they may need, all you need is your hand. So your palm is really the portion size of protein that you need to be eating, and your fist is the portion size of a veggie that you need to be eating, and a cupped hand is the amount of carbohydrates that you need to be eating. And so even if you're thinking about portion size and you're not quite sure what to do, just use your hand and that will tell you everything you need to know. By the way, your thumb is the amount of fats that you should be having. So understanding portion control is so crucial because, again, America, the portion sizes are huge. So a pasta might have 5, 6, 7 portions of carbs that you might need. So maybe eating 2 instead of 5 will be a great gauge for you as you go into a restaurant and have a really indulgent meal. You'll just know that, the number of servings that you might be eating is really, really important and correlated with how you feel this holiday season. And it might prevent you from, gaining weight or feeling kind of bad after a meal or really, really sluggish. So the other key piece is, of course, drinking. I think it's amazing. I definitely have a glass of wine. One of my favorites is a lychee martini. I know it's really sweet and really sugary. I try not to have them too often, but it's still lovely to have a great drink. But try and avoid those sugary drinks often during the season because that just adds, not necessarily the most nutritious of calories, although it can be really, really fun. And then it can make you feel quite bloated and not the best the next day. So if it's several sequential days of going out to festive and holiday parties, maybe pick the opportunities that you're going to have, wine or drinks. Maybe it's not every single evening. So that is something that is a huge watch out for me and something that I kind of try and chat with a lot of my clients about that as well. And sometimes it's just about limiting the number of drinks that you might have. So if you typically have 3 glasses of wine, maybe cut it down to 1.5, and you will see a difference in how you feel and definitely in curbing that weight gain this holiday season. So something that I love to go out for, and if I'm ever invited to a Japanese restaurant or a sushi place, I'm always the first to say yes. But a lot of the time, even though sushi is tons of protein and, lean fish, the flavors are incredible. There are so many hidden negative surprises that come with going out for sushi. So anything that is crunchy or tempura, anything with loads of spicy mayo or cream cheese, which is the very Americanized version of sushi, lots of sodium, lots of sugar in sauces, that can add a ton of carbs and calories. And I usually order riceless rolls. They're super delicious, either wrapped in seaweed or wrapped in cucumber or even wrapped in rice paper still is better, or sashimi, to make sure, that I'm still eating clean, but I'm still enjoying the amazing flavors that the sushi restaurants have to offer. And then I always ask for things steamed versus fried if there is an option, just to ensure that you're not getting those extra calories that, aren't needed or wanted. So this is going to sound crazy, but I actually water down my soy sauce, even if it's low sodium. So in my 30s, I noticed that after eating sushi, I would retain so much water. I couldn't even twist my rings. I couldn't take them off because I was retaining so much water. So what I started to do is I actually started to pour some water into the little soy sauce bowl so that I could water it down so it's way less sodium while you still get all the flavor. So if you try it, I would love for you to let me know what you think of it. I was talking to someone about the podcast and they said, you always say, let me know, but we don't know how to let you know. So you can always DM me on Instagram. I'm quite active there at healthcollective_USA or Nicole Peckerman on Instagram. Or you can add any comments because I do read all the comments on the podcast, either on Spotify or Apple. But I love hearing all of your feedback. And so for me, at the end of the day, I know I talked a lot about food and calories and breaking the calorie bank. At the end of the day, I don't want anyone to feel guilty this season. It's supposed to be happy and joyful and fulfilling. My whole take on it is if 80% of the time you're eating healthy, you're still doing an amazing job. I think it's about picking and choosing the moments where you want to indulge and have a pleasure moment versus the moments where, it might be a bit of a different situation and you want to, keep in check when it comes to your nutrition, particularly if you're focused on health and longevity and just feeling good and having the energy that you need to survive the season. This season is all about family and friends. But at the same time, you still have work and you still have the kids' school or, family obligations or your significant other. There are a million things kind of going on. So coming back to what I talk to a lot of my clients about, I talk to them about mindful eating. And I actually wrote a mini guide for my patients and clients to help them out. So what is mindful eating? It's actually exactly what it sounds like. Mindful eating is just simply becoming hyper-focused on the present moment and being aware of all of your senses while you're eating food, whether that's making matters more social or enjoyable or taking the time to reflect and savor every moment as you're kind of alone in solitude eating. The worst thing that you could potentially do is, start flipping on your screen or watching television or just being distracted in any other way. Because if you're mindful, it has actually proven to be very effective at reducing kind of overindulging and fostering a healthier relationship with food. A study done by the Journal of Obesity did talk about how mindful eating actually reduces binge eating behavior substantially. So when I talk to people and in my mini guide, I talk to them about the 5 habits for mindful eating. So the first habit that I talk about is the raisin exercise. So think about a raisin. It's super, super tiny. But what you can do is take a raisin or any small little piece of food and engage your senses by observing first the small piece of food, its appearance, its texture, its temperature, its scent kind of before taking it in your mouth, chewing it slowly and feeling the change in texture and taste as you kind of chew your food. That is the first step of really engaging and understanding how mindfully you can eat. So the second thing I tell people is just ask why. Are you thirsty or are you actually hungry? Do you need emotional comfort or is it boredom? So for me, it's really something that I have to grapple with because I often eat when I'm bored. So instead of that, perhaps go for a walk or change a playlist or listen to a podcast. So again, it's really just asking why. And if you're hungry and your stomach is grumbling, that's when you should be eating mindfully. But if it's just because you're bored or you're upset or you're happy, try and take that emotion and use it elsewhere or in another deliberate way. Something that I have trouble with now is slowing down. So when I was younger and I was dating my husband, he would wolf down his food and I would sit there for like 45 minutes enjoying my meals, savoring the flavor. And then after I had Mia, I realized that, having a baby is crazy. The schedule is crazy. I was breastfeeding. I was changing diapers and she was screaming and it was chaotic. And so In that time, I realized it was eat or be eaten. Literally, I would just shovel all the food I could down the hatch and it was gone. And so I actually went from eating really slowly and mindfully in my younger years to just wolfing down my food because I needed to drive a kid here or take care of a kid there or do something else for someone else. And so now I'm revisiting this moment of like just slowing down, relearning how to eat and really enjoy my meals. If you slow down, you'll also help your brain kind of catch up to your stomach because it does take 20 minutes for your brain to understand that your tummy is full. So again, number 4 is remove distractions. No phone, no screen, just you and your family, potentially, eating together, having a conversation, potentially even putting down your fork between bites and really having that conversation, really connecting not only with your food, but with your family as well. I find more and more the phone is at the table and we now have a basket where everyone just puts in their phone because we want to connect with each other during these really, really important moments. And the 5th thing that I tell people is to predict the future. There are certain meals that are going to make you feel amazing, nourished, energized, and satisfied, or you can feel angry or guilty or, not satisfied with the meal. So I think it's really important to think about your future self. So if you are having a moment and you just got into an argument with your boss and you go into the caf and you kind of shovel down whatever snacks are sitting at the counter, and, you walk away, you probably feel pretty angry about the situation with your boss, probably not better because you've shoveled down a bunch of snacks that are sitting in the kitchen, probably indulgent ones, and you're still kind of angry about everything, but now you've layered on this stress or this guilt or this unhappy feeling about what just happened as you ate, kind of to solve an emotional need. So it's really important to think about what emotions we're having and how going at it from an emotional place can trigger these negative feelings. So predicting the future before kind of taking a snack or taking a meal in is really, really important for mindful eating. And one of the best things to do is really to learn about the nutritional makeup of your favorite foods and the cooking methods, so that you go in knowing and making educated decisions. I always say knowledge is power. And so learning a little bit about what you're going to eat or drink is super important. So one example I have is, the indulgent coffee drinks that we all get. It's holiday season. Holiday cups are in stock. We all want to walk around with our beautiful holiday cup feeling a little bit more joyful, but what's in the cup is super important. One example that I have is oat milk versus almond milk. So I am an almond milk drinker for sure. And, when I first heard about oat milk, I was like, oh my God, that sounds delicious. And then I kind of broke it down, and I am so sorry if this is bad news for anyone who loves oat milk, but oat milk is literally like drinking a cup of starch. It's really, really not great for you. It has a ton of added carbohydrates. It will spike your blood glucose level, your blood sugar level quite a bit, and it really doesn't have that much benefit. When I looked at a leading brand of oat milk, and it had 18 grams of carbs, 7 grams of added sugar, just 1 gram of protein, and 5 grams of fat, versus an almond milk still has 7 grams of added sugar and 8 grams of carbs, but it only has half the fat, 2.5 grams of fat, and significantly less carbohydrates. So when you think about what beverage to have in the morning, think about some of the different flavors you're adding, whether it's syrups or whipped cream or the type of milk that you're putting in there or flavor, because all of that really does make a major difference. And the more you educate yourself about what it is that you love and you eat, the better you can feel about the decisions that you make. And at the end of the day, something I wanted to talk about for the holiday season and something that I continue to work on as well is to set your boundaries. So tell people what you need or want. And the people who love and care about you will accept it. So when I go out, people know that I intermittent fast or I will just have a coffee. I'm not there for the meal. I'm there for the people, for the friends, for the conversation, for the connection. And at the beginning of my career, particularly in corporate, particularly professionally, I was so ashamed and embarrassed to ever really share my true self or state my piece, that I would go in and do things that I didn't really feel comfortable with because I thought I would be judged. And at the end of the day, I ended up feeling pretty terrible, had some negative physical side effects because the choices that I made, that I felt pressured into by myself, was a really, really challenging situation. So I would just say don't make the same mistake. And, if you have something to share, if you're watching what you eat, if you're not drinking that night, share your piece and tell it whoever it is that, you're not drinking that night, or you're really trying to watch what you eat, so you're going to eat healthy that night. It is not a big deal to set boundaries in that way. And it goes beyond food as well. So, if it's all about food and all these holiday activities and moments are centered around food, you can pick activities like skating or walking the neighborhood to see the Christmas lights or local craft fairs or galleries to make the activities a little bit more engaging, a little bit more active, and a little bit more fun. So, maybe it's a decorating activity, or maybe it's sledding if you're living somewhere cold, or going ice skating. Anything that will get in a little bit of extra movement. I think it's really, really important to maintain your routine as the festive season happens, because you're at your best when you're in your routine. And whether that's eating, or whether that's exercising and fitness, or whether that's movement, or whether that's reading and mindfulness, whatever it is that is your routine, it is critically important to keep that routine so that you are your best self during the holiday season. And so getting a little movement in, maybe it's 30 minutes a day, maybe it's 3 miles, maybe it's anything that you can get in during the season is going to help you stay at the top of your game. And also, setting a boundary means saying no. Like, if you do not want to go to an event, say no. It's either got to be a hell yes or a hell no. But sometimes there are those moments in the middle where you're just like, oh, I feel bad. And, you might feel guilty for not going, but you really, really don't want to go. If you really, really don't want to go to an event, listen to your gut, take your piece, sit with it, and just say, I'm so sorry, I'm not going to be able to attend that event. So that's one thing that I really, really want to stress, is the fact that this holiday season is so stressful and so joyful at the same time. So pick your moments of joy, and then pick your moments where you can really sit with yourself and get re-energized. So for me personally, I am an ambivert. I actually just heard the phrase ambivert, and that means I'm a bit of an extrovert and a bit of an introvert. I sit in the middle, but I'm often energized with just kind of a little bit of solitude, a little bit of reflection. And then when I'm out kind of in the wild, I'm super extroverted and exuberant. So whatever it is that you need to make yourself have the best holiday season possible, I would just encourage that, because this season, burnout happens. Social calendars are crazy. And like I said, life can get really, really complex. So instead of saying yes to everything, say no to some things, and perhaps set intentions and meditate and set your own ground rules and keep to them. Because if you set your own ground rules and keep to them, you're going to be a happier and healthier person overall. And if you need any help with festive food or recipes or outings or anything in between, DM us at healthcollective_USA, or reach out to Nicole Peckerman on Instagram, or even connect with us in the comments on Spotify or iTunes. And please let us know how we can help you celebrate the season while saving your peace of mind. I can't wait to hear from you, and I'll see you next time.